Hey, what's happening, gang? I want to talk about tapering today. Tapering is an important part of training, whether you're training for the half mile or the marathon. It doesn't matter. But how you do it is different. Sometimes it depends on the distance that you're running or the training volume that you've been at for a while. But there are certain components that could also really, really enhance your performance, or can even make your set you back a little bit. So, and in 2 decades plus as a coach, I've seen a lot of different ways of tapering. I've tried it myself, and I found that one of the most effective ways to do it is to kind of follow the periodization principle, the same way you do going up, or as it's recommended to going up. And what I mean by that is, generally periodization, when you add volume, okay, you'll stay there for a couple weeks before you add either intensity or volume again. And given it, let's just say 3 weeks for this instance, generally it takes 21 to 28 days to adapt to a certain stimuli of training, whether it's intensity or volume, before you make modifications. So following the same principle. So let's just say you have, training for the marathon. Generally, a taper would start right after the last long run. Okay, so let's just say you're 4 weeks out or 3 weeks out from the marathon, and you just ran a 20-mile long run. What I do with a lot of my marathon runners is, at that point, I'll cut them down to their goal volume and stay there for the 3 weeks and let them to adapt, rather than decreasing volume by 20-25% per week. Because what I've noticed for a bunch of people over, again, 2 decades plus, is that you can be thrown off by doing that, because you're not giving your body a chance to adapt to lesser volume. It's only getting 1 week, and then you're changing it again, then you're changing it again, and the body can be thrown off rhythm. So it's something just to be mindful of. Again, sometimes it works for people, but I've seen a lot of situations where it does not. So, and let's just say a random number, like you're running 80 miles per week. If you cut it by 25%, you're going to cut it down to 60, and then the week after that, you're going to go down to 40. And let's just say the week after that's marathon week. I mean, that's going to be a very, very, very drastic change in volume, as opposed to being at 80 and cutting it down to, let's say, 50 and staying there for 3 weeks up until the marathon. Because if you remember, the marathon itself, marathon week, even if you run 50 miles, that just means you might be running an average of 5 miles a day with an off day in there before the marathon itself, and then you're at 50 miles per week. So, and that's a little bit more representative of a gradual taper, or staying there and allowing the body to adapt to it. Again, this is from experience, so you might be more familiar with a tapering of each week, and sometimes it works for folks. And again, if you're training for a 5K, the taper would be a little bit different. It might not be as long, or it might not be as substantial, because the race distance is a little bit different. But the marathon, you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that taper period to not only focus on nutrition and rest, but address any little bit of nagging aches and whatnot. Focus on making sure that you have a good balance of food, proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, with a major or a slightly more advantage over the carbohydrate. But then on the back end, making sure that you're loading up on protein for muscle recovery at the back end of a marathon. So, but keeping in mind as well the things that you've done up to that point. If you've done the work that you need up to that point, you're not going to need a drastic 3-week taper or a drastic drop every week for 3 weeks. You're not going to need it. If you're fit enough to do that, then you can drop, stay there, allow the body to adapt, and then be ready for your race with fresh legs. So it's just something I wanted to bring up. I think it's important. And again, one of the other things to keep in mind is, and I've seen this happen with a lot of folks too, you'll drop volume, but then go way up in intensity. I caution folks to not do that as well. Stay where you are. Focus on race pace, or just slightly faster for certain things. Those last couple weeks, let it be maintenance. Let it be rhythm. Okay? Last thing you want to do is throw the body into something that hasn't been doing before. And again, that's another way you can throw it out of rhythm. So you don't want to start training for a 5K or doing 5K workouts the last 3 weeks of a marathon. Just like you don't want to be training for the 800 meters the last 3 weeks of a 5K cycle. So those things matter as well. And again, the volume of the taper is really dependent on how long you've been training for your event and the type of events you're training for. So it's just something to keep in mind. I generally do a 25 to 30% drop for 5K. So like, let's just say you're training at 60 miles per week for an extended period of time, you know, then I'll stay in the last 2 weeks or so, I'll drop it down to about 40 or somewhere around there, 45, and stay there for those 2 weeks while you freshen up for the 5K. So if it's a marathon and you're doing, let's just say 70 miles a week, I drop it down to about 45 to 50, and then I stay there for the last 3 weeks leading up to the marathon. And again, letting the body adapt and making sure the legs are there, and making sure you're feeling right physically. And keep in mind, too, the other component of this is consistency. And what I mean by that, not only for volume drop and whatnot, but if you're doing 2 workouts a week, you want to maintain that throughout the whole entire thing. The volume might change, it might drop in the workouts, and that's okay. That's part of it. But even race week, say, let's just say you're going hard Tuesday and Friday, workout Tuesday, Friday, workout Wednesday and Saturday, or whatever it is, and you're approaching race week, and the race week is that 5K race goal is Saturday, and you do a light workout on Tuesday. If you're running a marathon and the workout's the race is Sunday, then you do a light workout on Tuesday and Wednesday. But you want to maintain going hard every couple of days in a consistent manner so that your body stays in rhythm as well. That's an important piece too. Okay, so let me know if you find this helpful. If you want any more specific details, I've got stuff on my channel. Take a look. I've got 200 plus videos, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you're missing out on a lot of content. 200 plus videos of fully detailed training. So make sure you do that now and hit that notification so you don't miss future videos and future live streams where you have direct access to me. Okay, and again, I'm speaking from 20 years of experience as a former competitive runner and a coach of the last 2 decades, and a USATF certified coach. I'm also a Wharton trained and certified musculoskeletal flexibility therapist. So I'm speaking from a lot of experience, and everything that's on my channel I've used either on myself or my athletes. So nothing's experimental, and everything is laid out for you in full detail, especially training plans, 12, 16, 20-week plans for 5K up to the marathon, or even at 800 meters of the mile. Take a look at it. You'll see how everything's broken down. You'll see the kind of logic behind it. And if you have questions on anything, reach out to me, either on the video itself or on my Instagram, Top of the Line Running, or reach out to me directly via email, blackbeltrunningcoach@gmail.com. And I'd be more than happy to help and answer questions or help guide you, whatever you might need. So, hope you found this helpful. Have a great week, everybody.